Hey there, thanks for tuning in to our feature teacher jam session. Conversations grounded in highlighting the greatest tools in our toolbox, educators and youth advocates, fired up with art, skill, and will. I'm Jay Dion, and after many years as a teacher, administrator, and instructional coach, no matter what age you rock with, what content you're passionate about, what population you serve, I'm curious where we can reinvite creativity back into the work, what it looks like to centralize interactions as foundational to language, character, and content development, and how we can leverage the autonomy of fantastic educators doing this work worth doing. The Learning Riot is a movement committed to championing, challenging, and supporting teachers as you build rigorous and responsive learning communities where language, executive function skills, and critical stewardship are developed. Stoked to have you join the riot, you little rascal. Let's jump in.
All right,
Back.
we're back. So, call to action: tight classroom management, strong community, high achievement. In other words, self-reflection, setting up routines, building relationships, engaging student responsibility, engaging rigor. So, as you practice reflection for yourself, like in your own practice or what you inspire others to do, what is a bias that you still struggle with? And how are you working on dismantling that bias? Um, and I can give you an example, but I think it sounds like you're right on.
I would say I struggle with parents and making assumptions about how good or not good or how involved or not involved a parent is and for what reasons. I think I jump quickly to you could be doing more, you should be doing more, you're failing your child's kind of mindset, and don't allow for the number of factors and things that could be happening in that person's life that lead them to not have the ability to parent the way that I was parented or that I would like to parent my future children. And I think that is a privilege that I have.
Or you see the kid in front of you, and you know that some of those setting impact
100%
result in the kid having the challenges they're having.
But I shouldn't jump to a I'm against the parent and pro the kid and advocating for the kid. I should be jumping to a place of how do I support you? As an ed, what can the school do to help you get to a place that you want to be? And that's not to say that there aren't parents who I have appropriately been upset with because of choices that they're making at home, or parents that I've known who have straight up been abusive, and that is that. But there is a whole other genre of parents who just don't have the time to do what my mom did after school. And I think the older I get and the closer I get to having my own kids and just the more experiences I have, the more I understand how privileged my life was in many ways, but in that specific way of having two parents who loved me, who loved my family, who spent all the soccer games and the dinners at nighttime and the homework sessions and all of that stuff with me without question.
Was a pretty profound privilege.
Yes.
And nothing for which you should feel discomfort or guilt about.
No,
but still being able to identify it as it is a privilege.
And not something that just because you can't do that for your kid doesn't mean that you are a bad parent.
Agreed. And it has really nothing to do with socioeconomics necessarily, because there's plenty of parents who are living in poverty who are showing up and doing the good work with their kids for sure, or vice versa. Right, those living in upper.
So I think that my biggest bias comes with judging parents, and it's something that I'm constantly, especially as someone who doesn't have kids yet,
Nor do I. We sure do judge parents.
To be judging anybody, but I think unfortunately I have had a higher percentage of experiences of my students being harmed. And I need to be mindful of like that's not always what's happening.
And I think that just like you mentioned it a couple questions ago around the kids, even if they're not demonstrating right now through their behaviors that they want to learn, we need to trust that they want to learn. They want to do well.
100%
and I think that I've challenged myself with parents or caregivers that even if none of their behaviors demonstrate that they love their child or they want their child to do well in school, I am going to operate
with the assumption that
with the regard that you do.
Yeah.
You do love your kid, even if you don't yet know how to show that with regularity,
yeah.
or show it in the way that there's all those unpacks.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So that one for sure. Consistent struggle for me.
So I'm actually going to jump into the next question because I think we've talked about vulnerability enough that I wasn't, unless you have something to kind of pipe in about, is there like a line you draw around vulnerability or the way you talk about
there
something?
There isn't like a line I draw, like I would never talk about this. Like there isn't anything that's off limits. Yeah. It's just that it's a very student to student situation. So like I'm not going to talk about everything with every kid. Like some students need different experiences to be shared with them that other students need.
Right.
So like there's nothing that's happened in my life that I would say I will not say this to a student. It's just that which student that is and when that story or piece of advice or experience is worthwhile is really dependent.
I'm having in my head some of my experiences that I'm like, I wonder if there is a chance for that. I'm actually not going to share on camera what I'm thinking in my head.
For example, like I've worked with students who are of legal age, guardians of the self, 21-year-olds in Harlem, New York City, who are heavily impacted by drugs and gang violence and the law and police and like legal situations. So like for me to think that, like my experience drinking in college is too much for them to understand or to hear is really unfair to them.
A bit silly.
So like, that's not to say I haven't had maybe like there are people in this world who have experienced things that I would say you don't need to talk to your students about that. Yeah. I have not experienced something like that.
Right.
In which it would be too traumatic or too inappropriate to speak to a child about or to speak to a growing like a teenager. So as of this point in time, I can't think of anything that would be off limits, but like absolutely there's kids that I've taught that I tell very little to. Yeah. Because that's just not the relationship that we have. Yeah. And then there's kids that I have like who are now in their late 20s and early 30s and we text. Yeah. So like it's a spectrum.
Yeah. Once my kids left me, then I was engaging in a different level of messaging. I still am always going to be Mr. Dean. I have kids reach out or come visit me here.
Say that is a boundary that I do have that is very, very clear. No student gets access to any of my social media, personal cell phone, personal email until after they've graduated from high school. And no matter who they are, no matter what our relationship is, no matter what the reasoning behind it is, and even after they've graduated from high school, I usually only give my personal email. There's a couple situations where that has shifted for certain kids. And there's a couple kids that have access to my Instagram. They're not kids anymore. They're in their 30s or like late 20s. But that is probably my like hard and fast line. And all of my students know that. Like, don't go looking for my social media. You won't find it.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
It's also free.
I mean, they also can find it because they're so
they are way savvier than we are.
I will not accept the request, and they know that. So
what you did, I do appreciate your resourcefulness and the people you stalked to find me.
That I will praise. Wow, guys, like you found that really fucking.
You really gave that the fucking college try.
Thank you for not doing your 5-page essay and for searching for me on Instagram for 2 hours. Decline.
So, fifth call to action. Anchor the God.
I don't mind that I'm just like pulling dog hair and cat hair.
And no, my cat hair. I actually explained this to my husband one time, on a hike, trying to explain to him the thinking behind this. I won't bore everybody with this, but anchor the mind, activate the thought, actualize the skill. And kind of the underneath of that is embedding receptive, interpretive, expressive language development to encode, retain, and mobilize learning. So that's kind of like that undercurrent there. The questions. This is hefty. So anchoring is the way that I think about building background, activating prior knowledge. How do you invite all students into the anchoring, especially those with less previous exposure? And this is more like a literal in the classroom when you are going to dive in on something. What are your go-tos for building background, for scaffolding, for those students that need different levels of schema building? I just jumped into super academic.
I say that got real like what worksheets do you print out? So the tricky part with like scaffolding and building background for me is my brain immediately goes to like some of my more severely disabled students. So like language and scaffolds to get to a skill and like the steps that we need to take to do a thing, whether that thing just be like adding two numbers or like something more complex. I've always worked with students who like each need their own individual path to that. So for some students, I'm building background with them on a topic and they're nonverbal and they have a one-to-one adult with them at all times. They've never been alone a moment in their life. They have someone who takes them to the bathroom. They're helped in all hygiene aspects. Like they have no independent skills. So to build background in a student like that is to understand like what their life looks like. That's how different their life is from the thing that I'm trying to teach. I guess what I'm trying to say is like,
oh, so you're creating this street, like they're here with all the lived experience of that. And this is the knowledge that I'm hoping that they're able to get. And I need to figure out what kind of a path, a street, a road, a highway, like needs to exist.
In like my setting, thank you. That was a well way to put that. Like usually like in my setting, I have this, let's just be like, today we're adding fractions or fractions, understanding what a fraction is. Yep. So like, that's like the skill, that's like the standard that we're working on in class. And in front of me, I will have students who like are still not able to follow like a routine of getting dressed in the morning, putting their clothes on, picking out what they want to wear, feeding themselves, understanding how to like make a meal, like how to safely use utensils. So bridging that gap is like kind of a wild experience.
I'm
like
sure
there's like really so like in that
because
sense,
the road has become much longer that I was just describing.
Yeah, it's very long and it's almost kind of like it's just a giant hill. Just straight up. It's just like Everest.
But you still, let me ask you about the standard though. You've decided, no, I am going to get
we're gonna work.
We're gonna go to here, but we have to be
like what I would do with like those kids, like in fractions of like I gave myself a little bit of an easy example is I would go to food. And food is something I would go to a lot with students, like recipes. Like there's been times where we
speaking of relevance, you're like they actually need to know why. So let's get it.
Where we go and we buy like an uncut pizza, like like New York City students buying a pizza from the place across the street, all very relevant experiences, all very much things that they've done with family and people they know. And then the pizza comes into us. We have a knife safety skills come into play. How to have hygiene with not having dirty hands because we're touching food. Like, so I'm just like adding in skills that I think that we can be successful at and that I know are really important, like still working all the way towards the fraction. And then chances are there's some kid in that class, there's a couple kids in that class who do understand that numbers have meaning, that if there's 8, that means that there's enough for 8 people to grab onto something. And that they can understand that this pizza was once one whole. And when I cut it up, it's no longer one whole, it's changed. So like, then now once I have a couple kids who have kind of grasped onto that, sometimes I try to have them explain it to a peer because if a peer hears it from a peer, it might be different. So it's all just like, you got to know your kids. You have to know what they do every day and how they live their life. And you have to like be able to connect that to anything academic in some way, shape, or form.
And you're in a literal constant state of formatively assessing your kids. You're constantly, whether it is around putting a fork and knife in front of them and just seeing what they do with that to be able to give you the information of what they actually know in terms of utensil usage. You're formatively assessing them all the time.
But then on the flip side of my more like 11th grade ADHD ED student, building background on, Eli Wiesel's like a night, what's the
Night.
night.
I think it's just
I was
called
gonna
night.
say a night's tale.
Isn't it like
it's not a
apostrophe
night
night?
tale. Yeah,
I
night.
feel like it's like, yeah.
You know, like, so that would be just like conversations. And then this is where I would like let my teacher walls down, and I'd be like, so here's an experience I have. Like, I have family members that are Jewish. When I was growing up, I didn't, you know, and I would give them a little bit of like, here's how I think about this story and why it is actually kind of interesting for me to think about it, and why like this is actually like, yeah, it's kind of like maybe it's a book that I don't want to write an essay about, or I don't love reading, but like this topic has stuff that we could think about, you know?
For sure.
And I try and like get them to just have a question, like something that they want to like ask. And then I just like build.
Again, incite curiosity, because if you anchor something and then you have them like kind of have a moment of curiosity there. So how do you ground? Okay, so when we think about the 3 levels, there's, for me, anchoring the skill or the mind in what you know or what you need to know in order to be able to even enter. Then activate the thought, kind of like, all right, in that anchor, this is where we're going to be doing the work. And then it's like actualize the skill. In some ways, kind of expeditionary learning wise, is like this call to action, like with these skills and this background, like how are you going to use it? So how do you ground application? And I'm thinking about those kids that really struggle with, I'm like knowing that practice is needed in order, including oral, including all those things, in order to ultimately own something bigger. How do you ground application in relevance so that students buy into the vulnerability of grappling, of interacting, of giving it a go?
So like, how do I create an environment in which students are comfortable to try something they don't know how to do?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're asking?
Kind of like, how do you create a community in which kids are going to be willing, especially kids who you're talking about who have a lot of distrust, have had a lot of evidence of being unsafe in situations. How do you get them?
How do we get the buy-in?
How do you get the buy-in? And
I mean, I think it all comes back to relationships. Like it all, like people will learn from people they like, period. You know, and like I try really, really hard to build a relationship with every single kid that I have, even if it's not the deepest and the most complex. I find something about every student that I like and every student that I find interesting. And
I call those trust generators.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 stages of that. Like
and I also
it's a practice. Like
I fail in front of my
trust.
students. I make mistakes. I come back and let them know when I mess up. I make it very clear that if you don't make a mistake, you're not a human being. Like that is just, it has nothing to do with if you have an IEP, what's on your IEP, who you are, who your parents are, what color your skin is, what sexuality you are. Like we literally all will make mistakes until the day that we die. So like the easiest one I do, because it's genuine, is I'm a terrible speller. And teachers write things on the board all the time. Almost daily, I will spell something wrong. And I encourage my students
incorrectly. Because I would come into your classroom or your space and I'd be like, and then I have to work on not correcting something that's on your board.
It's the correction.
From students, you encourage the correction because it teaches that.
I'm not ashamed of it. I'm a bad speller. I missed phonics in elementary school. You can talk to my mom about why I'm not a good speller. I also think I'm undiagnosed, kind of dyslexic. Screw the system for missing that one.
I like when we self-diagnose and you're like, I am, what did you just say? I'm semi-dyslexic.
I think I have dyslexic tendencies, definitely with numbers and also with sounding out and hearing sounds of words. I don't know if it's like dyslexia, but like it's something. It's in there. It's not, there are no tools, but other tools I could use to fix it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just is.
It goes from an audible to a visual representation. You're going to have some issues.
Found it out. Like I don't know phonics. There's no other way for me to explain it to you. That is that.
You're like, not only do I not know phonics, I can't fucking even explain what phonics is almost.
Letters have sounds, but they all fucking change. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Well, also English phonics is its own experience.
Don't even get me started.
Like Spanish letters sound the same.
I also can't learn. I'm so bad at learning other languages though, because now my brain is just like, what is happening? Like I don't understand. So that like if you've ever been in a PD with me before, I've named it. If you've ever, like the first day of school, every time I'm writing on a board, I name it. I'm like, hey guys, watch how bad I am at this skill.
Yep.
Like and I'm really successful. I have
Be
a great
entertained,
life.
please, by Allie messing up all over the place.
So like, I just feel like my room is always a room that like, that, and like, I encourage everyone.
Public fumbling.
Yeah. Like, right? And like, I think that also comes from being an athlete and be like, the first time you do something, it's silly to think it's going to be good.
Yep.
And I also have that kind of relationship with my students where like, I call those things out. I'm like, you're being silly if you think that you can solve this math problem without me teaching you the steps of how to solve it. No human in the history of the world has ever just known a thing without learning about it. So like, I just like call them out on their ridiculous, like, because it's what's really happening is they're embarrassed and they're not confident enough to try, and they're a little bit scared and they're anxious, etc. And instead of saying, I can tell you're really anxious about this new thing that we're going to try, I'm like, how silly are you that you think that you're the smartest person in the world, that you can do it without failing once or twice? Like, I just go back to the silly. I go back to the like, it's not that serious.
Right.
It's not the end of the world.
None of us are going to like tar and feather you after this experience.
And sometimes I'll even say, let's say at the end of the school year, you still can't do this skill. I don't care. You know, I don't care. We'll try again later. Whatever.
Yep.
Like,
because you know what I do care about is that I'm being you right now. I'm being you right now. Is that you have tried and put effort in all year long. And that's what I care about.
That most likely by the end of the year, they will be able to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't need them to believe it yet.
Yeah.
It's okay if they're not able to.
How many times have you said, I say this to kids, I go, I don't need you to believe in you right now.
Yeah.
I just need you for right now to know that I believe in you. And that's going to cover us for now.
14-year-old undeveloped brain can't see what's going to happen in 2 years from now. Like, you don't have those neuron pathways yet. So don't worry about it. If you don't get it yet, it is fine. And then in my brain, I go, he's definitely going to get it. He's almost there already. He just doesn't know it, you know, like, don't take it so seriously.
Against you, silly. So the last of the call to actions, and I did make this term up. I really love it, but just hands-on, heads-on.
Hands-on, heads-on.
Application. Extend student growth beyond our care. And in short, developing language, executive skills, and tenacity. Fuel aspiration and achievement. So what scaffolds, and I kind of love it to be as tangible, like a teacher could take away from your response here. What scaffolds do you put in place so that language develops and builds those interactions?
Visual.
Yeah.
Like, visualize everything.
Yep.
Gen ed, multi-language learners, special ed, elementary, middle school, high school, college, I don't care.
Visual.
Actually,
especially college. If you're a college teacher, please do not drop off. Pedagogically, it's amazing when you go to college and they're just like front of the classroom with just words.
Please stop assuming that kids can see it in their brain. Like, that they are creating pictures inside their brain that helps them understand what you're telling them.
Yep. And don't also use more words to clarify the words that don't make sense.
Exactly. And stop using so many words.
Yeah.
Like, verbalize less, show more.
Yes.
Slow down.
Verbalize less, show more, slowly. Really.
It's also okay
so good
to let a student pick apart a final model of something without assuming that they're going to cheat and just redo that thing. Give people an example of what you want.
Yeah, I have struggled with that in my years. I now give exemplars even for my college kids who benefit from them. They go, thanks, it was great to just see it in finished form. Now I'm going to do my own version of that. And even if they do a replicate of this, okay.
Okay, but that's what I wanted. That's literally what I wanted them to do. So, like, what are we punishing them for?
How do you enroll your students in the co-carrier of the lift?
All we do is,
I mean, I was like, this is such a dumb question because it literally is everything you do all day long.
I build a team and then everyone does their part.
Yeah.
A classroom is a sports team, and I apologize for all of my non-athletes and like It's just the way my brain works.
It could be a drama club.
I was just gonna say it could be a cast or a crew.
Debate. It could be a debate team.
Kitchen,
it could be anything.
It could be a kitchen staff if you're a cooker. It is a.
It definitely is a kitchen staff. Like I mean, everybody.
Think about like a cheerleading, a dance squad, like choreograph. It is a choreographed routine. Like we all are in one tiny space. A big group of us are in one space together all the time. We have to be able to flow and all do different things. Like,
and can I dork out even further? Since the dancer in me wants to do this, yes, there's choreography, but it also is we are trusting each other enough that we're going to ad lib and improv.
Mm-hmm.
That's what builds a strong team.
Really far, like have a mascot, have a teacher that comes in and cheers you on all the time. You know, like have a water boy who like isn't actually on the team, but like shows up and supports you guys. And that's someone from another class that you all like cheer. Like there's so many ways to just like create a really fun little soccer team.
Silly again. Skew silly.
I think that the second I walk into a class, the first thing that we're figuring out is like, okay, well, what are you going to be good at in this class?
Yeah.
Like, are you do you like to wash things down? Do you like to move things? Do you like to tell people what they need to do? Do you like to talk to adults? Do you like to talk to students? Do you like to walk, sit, lift, draw?
What is your carry? What's your carry going to be?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be, I mean, it goes back to that crew. Like there is no passive participation in Allie's. Oh, we got to come up with it. Like what is
lab?
Well, learning lab, but that's not the most exciting athletic team I've ever thought of. But you're right.
My team, you're talking about my team.
Yeah. Like learning.
Let me tell you, probably over 5 times have we made class t-shirts.
Okay.
Like literal jerseys. We make jerseys.
Why shouldn't you?
That's what I'm saying.
And do they get to wear just their practice jerseys versus their varsity? Like, do they get to like have their varsity?
We tie-dye a shirt because we love to tie-dye. But like, yeah.
You are crafty.
We are a team. We are a...
So good. So good. So the last question within this chunk, and then...
Yeah, I can also text my wife who has to go to work. It's not my fault, guys. Let's see how many more minutes.
It's a big wig filmmaker.
This would be neat.
I think we would need
like 10, 15,
probably 8.
Oh, okay. Okay, then we're fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I told she has to leave the house by 12:30.
Okay, let's do it. Okay,
we have 10 more minutes.
We do. So, but of course, I'm going to ask you a question about accountable tenacity. But hopefully, that won't take too long. But how do you build accountable tenacity? God, I really want to punch myself in the face. I know. Oh my God, I love. So you are such an alt ed teacher who is every single question I give, which is so good for me. You're like, Jay, less fucking words.
Can you clarify that out a little bit?
But I can't.
Because I don't know phonics. So I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. Basically, I'm trying to say grit without overusing grit.
Just say the word grit.
So, okay, you're right. How do you build grit within your learners while developing executive function skills?
But here's the crazy thing is like my kids all have grit. They're surviving crazy shit outside of school all the time.
Right.
They have lived harder lives than
and who are we to say that they need the grit that we need to teach them?
They need motivation to use their grit.
Yes.
In a more adaptive, less maladaptive, or just like other locations. Like don't only use your grit when you're at home dealing with like whatever you're dealing with at home. How can I help you use that at school? Like how can I help
that grit that actually exists already?
Like how can I help you understand that you already are so fucking strong and persevering and resilient and like able to do it in a different setting than where you've been practicing that your entire life?
Yes.
So like, especially, I mean, and this is not true about all people and all teachers and all groups of kids that come through, but like in my world of specialized programs of kids with like severe emotional disturbances and behavioral challenges, like they are some of the most resilient and like persevering and strongest kids I've ever met.
Yeah.
To have a emotional crisis or a physical altercation in the middle of a school building as a kid with multiple adults surrounding you, removing you from locations, secluding you into isolated rooms, calling potentially police, putting lockdowns on an entire building because you've eloped into the hallway, and then to come back to school the next fucking day and show up and try again.
That's great.
What is that? What else would that be?
Yeah.
You know, it's just not academics.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop only viewing our kids through the lens of like academics.
And the reality is, as we're building them for hopefully school, everything we build within the walls of the school are for them to be successful out there. Much of the academics, it's actually not going to matter much out there.
No.
But this kid being able to have big emotions, fall apart, fumble, and show up the next day, that is going to be something that you and I have had to do. Like, that's something that's going to have to be a part of their life.
For like people who don't work in the population I work with, most of our gen ed kids are going home dealing with like insane social media shit. The comment sections on videos, the Snapchatting back and forth, they know where everyone is located in their school at all times. They know when they're walking to the bathroom. They know when they're going to the grocery store. They follow each other online insanely, like in a detailed way.
Yeah.
To live through that as a teenager.
Yeah.
And like stay not depressed and anxious all the time, to like
that's fortitude. That's great.
You know, like I think we just need to like recognize it in the ways that it's happening, help our kids recognize that it's happening, and then help them generalize it to a different setting.
I think going back to critical hope for a second, like in terms of seeing, you're richly seeing their lived experience. And now you're like, okay, so now let me help you to generalize it, or to use this or apply this or build the skills to be able to code switch it in other places, so that less doors are closed. Kind of in short, right? Yeah. Like I just want you to have more open
doors.
Have
many options.
And you get to then do what you will with it, but nobody's going to say that you lack skill.
And no one's going to say, that you're not going to walk into something and be like, shit, I actually can't do that because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to do it and that does happen, you're going to have the skills at least to ask the right people for help, or to look up how you might need to do it.
Yep. And I sure as hell within this space, within a learning space, I'm going to help you to practice asking for help and not knowing what the fuck to do, and feeling really weird and awkward and all those things, because I want you out in the world to be able to say, I don't know how to do this. I don't
understand. Yeah. I don't know how to spell.
Okay. So I just want to say there are some like sort of some giants in terms of podcasts and like educational thinking, like Josh Rappoon from What School Could Be. There's Mitch Weathers with Executive Functioning or Organized Binder. And there's like Jennifer Gonzalez from Cult of Pedagogy. I just think these people are really just fabulous thinkers, doing good work, having school thought about really differently. Danny Bauer, ruckus maker. So a lot of them have this kind of like parting impact, like sort of like, what are some things I want to ask, like almost like a speed round with you. Okay. So 3 questions.
Okay.
So we all have giants whose shoulders we stand on, who are in the room with us. I love somebody, I think maybe Josh Rappoon talked about it. They're in the room with us always. Who is this for you? And would you mind sharing an experience with one of the giants in your room with us?
So I mean, there's so many, and not to be corny, but I'm definitely going to give one to my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is
an first teacher,
amazing educator, and has been a teacher her whole life. So I believe she graduated from college in like the late 70s. That's probably about right. And has always been ahead of her time. Like the whole idea of like the holistic child, putting kids first, building relationships, meeting kids where they're at, scaffolding work, like understanding that every kid is different and needs something different has just been like a natural part of her practice. And then also like building up other teachers and like being the teacher that teachers can come to, and being like a support for like the whole school, like impacting school morale in an incredibly positive way. Was just like bleeds out of her. So like that was my model, like growing up. Like I never thought I would be a teacher, because I was always like, well, my mom's a teacher and I'm going to do something different. But in retrospect, I spent endless hours in her classroom over the summer, before school, after school, helping her prep her closets and
like
organize
the rationale
things.
For why. I mean, you were literally interning with your mother and gaining knowledge.
Living in a town, hearing people speak about her, hearing students speak about her, even the students who like quote unquote didn't like her came from such a respectful place of like, your mom was really hard. Like, I did not do good in your mom's math class. And they would put you, like, she was really nice. Like, she was a good person.
And does your mom know this?
Oh, yeah.
About you? Does she know the level of respect you
I've definitely like have put it in writing to her before in like different ways.
Good.
So that's just like one, because, and I think it's really cool now as adults, like obviously she's an adult, but now me as an adult and us being adults together have this really cool bond over like our practice and like what she like how she's lived her life as an educator and how I'm living. Like, there's a lot of similarities, there's a lot of differences, and it's like fun to talk about it and like to call her and be like, oh my God, this teacher sent an email and this is what it said, and I'll read it to her and she'd be like, that's crazy. Here's what I would do. And I'm like, okay, good idea. Like, gives great advice. So that's like one. The other giant that like I always refer back to in my like literal everyday practice was my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Ryer, who I honestly haven't spent a ton of time with like in my adult life. Like, I don't know where she is right now. I don't know what's going on in her life. She was older when I had her, so to be honest, like, I'm not even sure if she's like still alive. But I have to do a little investigation. But I can remember so many details about my 4th grade class.
Like
and
what?
That class was a team.
Yep.
Like, she built a team of kids. We were not all friends. We did not all like continue to be friends throughout our time in Londonderry, even though like I've known these people my whole life. Like, Londonderry is not very big. Like, the schools are not very big, but we played on the playground as a class every day. She had a different game every day that we would do, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Each had a game that we played. It was like, some of them were really fun and silly. Some of them were more academic. I can still remember on Tuesdays, we would play silent ball. On Wednesdays, we would do the the Scholastic News. She had a whole quiz show that she would do. We used to do a game where, like, when I say a country or a place, whatever it ends, the letter it ends in, the next person has to, so it'd be like Londonderry. That was a really bad one because now I have to come up with the Y.
It's also not a country.
Well, it doesn't have to be a country. It's like any place. It could be like state.
But a Y, like Yugoslavia.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then you get A. So you keep going, and we used to play that one of the days. And like, this was 4th grade.
Yeah.
And like, I read my favorite
the amount of knowledge that comes in. What is the favorite book?
The Last of the Really Great Wing Doodles was like the first long paragraph, non-picture, like true like fantasy novel that I read that kind of like sparked my love of like.
Say it one more time.
The Last of the Really Great Wing Doodles.
I don't even know this book at all.
It's so fun. It's so fantastical. It's like all like Willy Wonka-y vibes. It was just great. And I can remember like the floor that I laid on when I was reading it. Like, she built an environment that 100% of the kids loved. Wow. Just like loved. And she was like 4'10", just like this tiny little sweet person, never raised her voice, never got mad at anybody. I don't have a single negative memory from that time.
And how many people can we say that about, actually? I feel like this is one of those moments where if this was Oprah, that she'd be coming out right now.
So yeah, Miss Ryan was a teacher that like I still think back and like set things up in my classroom the way that she did.
Yep.
And that was
because
I was in 4th grade.
You want the kids to have some level of at least that feeling in some way, shape, or form.
1997. So like, her and my mom, I think they're like trailblazers. Yeah, like very much progressive thinkers and like got kids.
I love that she intentionalized the games, because while it was fun, she's like, I'm having you as a class, as a team, play this game as a reinforcement of the teamness of this.
Yeah. And for the record, I can name like 10 other things that we did that year. Like, when I tell you, I know like
it name 2 more.
Well, we used to do student of the month, where like you'd have this whole big printout. Your parents would do a bunch of things at home, like your guardians and family would send in pictures and things at home about you growing up, and then everyone in the class would write one nice thing about you on a big piece of paper, and then Mrs. Ryer would present this to you. Like, she did this for each kid throughout the year. So like on one Friday it would be like my turn, and all of a sudden this poster would go up that would have my name on it and have pictures from when I was younger.
She knew she was going to have 18 of them throughout the course of the year.
So she set it all up.
She was like playing,
and then the whole poster would be filled with nice things that your classmates said about you, and you got to take it home at the end of the day. We also used to do awards for like, so like those games that we play, like whoever won, whoever like read the number, like she had
best
different ways.
effort or whatever it
Yeah, and
was.
so the whole room, like the whole ceiling and the walls were just plastered with the awards that we won all year. So many things. She was amazing. Amazing.
I really hope she's still alive and that you sound like
my mom will know.
Your mom knows everything.
Yeah.
Moms know. Second, parting impacts. What book, show, podcast, or experience would you recommend for a teacher looking to build the unique and impactful learning they facilitate, and why?
What's something I really should be better at? Like I'm not the best.
Yeah, but you're a person you're in the trenches, and your learning and your work is always in the trenches. So I would rather have you and your experience than the person who can talk up the wahoo about all the books they're reading but sucks in the classroom. So if you don't,
I mean, what I think is important in terms of like podcasts and books and movies is like watch things with people that don't look like you. Listen to podcasts and shows with people who don't look like you and did not live the life that you did.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in a small town, very much a bubble. Everyone was the same. And it wasn't until I was 18 and moved to Boston that I started to experience diversity.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was 22 and moved to New York that I like truly understood diversity.
Yep.
Both in terms of like people and their ethnic backgrounds and where they came from, but also just like lived experiences. Like not every kid has the same life at home. And like that seems really obvious, but it's not obvious if you don't.
Well, if you weren't shown that, then why would you know that the water you're swimming in is the water
and, like,
you're swimming in?
The other thing, like generally always be like looking for like authors and speakers and writers and directors and things that are different from like the person that you are to get other ideas. And then I would say expand your understanding and knowledge of the disabled community.
Yeah.
And like get yourself like the disabled community is the largest minority group. That is the only minority group that you can join at any point in your life. You can become disabled from the time you're born to the time that you die.
Wow.
And you now join a minority group that has been overlooked, under-discussed, underfunded forever. And that's not to say anything from any other minority group that is also in that boat and also deserves to be uplifted. Yeah. But I feel like from my practice and my lived experience, I try really hard to like fight my ableism and help other people note their ableism. And like, I watch disabled creators, I follow disabled creators, I like want to see as many stories with disabled people in them, like truly disabled people, like not people acting as if they are, etc. So like that's like a recommendation I would give is like I think it's really easy in the world of trying to expand your diversity to forget about the disabled community.
Incredible. The sad thing is I've never heard anybody say that specifically. And I've also arguably all of us at some point in our life will have either a short or a long-term period of disability. And so it serves us even on a selfish level to get to know it.
And to shout it out, I heard a disabled creator who is blind, and I can't think of her name right now, which is on me, say that quote, that like the disability community is the only community that you can join throughout your life. So like that is not something that I came up with. Like a lot of the things that I tell people about, like everything that I tell people about the disabled community either comes from like students that I've worked with or advocates and influencers and like disabled people that I follow and like interact with, who just are like so fucking capable of solving their own problems if the world would just listen. If we just said, yes, we can help you get that thing, you already know what you need. Like you are shouting from the rooftops what you need to be independent and
successful. And your body and your lived experience know exactly what is needed. Yeah.
Wow.
So one final question. Such an incredible answer. There are many things for a teacher to focus on, but limited time in a year. What's the one thing you would suggest educators prioritize? And why would you recommend honing in on that as a surefire strategy for impacting community, willingness, and achievement? What would be the one thing you would recommend?
I'm torn between
I like being torn.
Self-regulation, true, like truly understanding yourself and how to regulate yourself in every situation, not just one. Or
are you talking about the teacher themselves, or to build community in which your students have practice?
Well, is the question what skill you want your students to learn, or what skill you want to? Can you say one more time, just so I make sure I'm actually answering the final question that's the most important.
I think really for a teacher to focus on whatever that is, that they prioritize.
So with my students, what I prioritize every year as my number one thing is building relationships with people and self-regulating yourself. Because I think if you have those two skills, if you can successfully build a relationship with a peer and an adult, and if you can successfully self-regulate yourself in all situations to come back to a baseline that you feel safe and ready to learn, then you can do anything else. Like you can ask for help when you're confused. You can look things up that you want to know more about. You can hear what your teacher is saying and learn and ask interesting questions. You can do your homework and your practice and all of that kind of stuff. But if you don't have relationships with people, if you're fully isolated and you're only in your own head and all you know is what you think and feel, because that's not always what's accurate in reality. And if you can't make your own self feel safe and calm in most situations, then you're just like living in a world of distrust and fight and flight. Like they're not ever absorbing new information and experiences. You're getting things in your brain and you're probably perceiving them to be really negative, really scary, really uncomfortable, really whatever. But if you had a strong relationship with people around you and you could say like, hey, I'm feeling kind of weird right now. Like, are you feeling weird? Is this a weird situation? Or like, am I feeling weird? Like, what's happening? And then you're like, no, I feel fine. And I'd be like, oh,
well, then I'm
okay. So maybe I'm feeling a little bit weird right now. Like, what's going, and like, if you can't do that, then you're just stuck in these cycles. And you're like feeding.
And those cycles are actually perpetuating habit.
Exactly.
And then making it harder and harder for you to be engaged
to break behavior and to like change things up. So like,
wow.
Everything for me always comes back to like, and that is partially because I'm a behavior specialist. I'm in the behavior world, but building relationships and self-regulation allow my students to be successful students.
It allows them to access their life. Wow. I have learned so much in this time together. And I mean that. It's really,
I appreciate that.
It's really, like really incredible. I'm glad that I had something to give because you just, when I listen to you, I just am like, one thing that always blows my mind about you is the level of example and like real deal way of applying something, and you always have it ready because you're always ready to build relevance. Basically, you're always ready.
It's the only way to get my students to buy in is like, why are we doing this? But I'm partially like, I'm a little bit that way. Like I wasn't that way as a student.
Oh, but as an adult, you are definitely that way.
Like looking back on like my career of a first grader to a 12th grader, I was very much like a do-gooder, people pleaser. I want the teacher to think I'm really smart. I want the teacher to be proud of me. I want to get really good grades. But like, I didn't feel great doing a lot of that stuff. Like I was a very anxious kid. I hated speaking in front of like reading out loud, speaking in front of people. Like I did not trust my intelligence at all. I was just like regurgitating what I knew they wanted me to do in the way that they wanted me to do it. And if it wasn't, I didn't have a lot of like the critical thinking. Like if that didn't work,
well, because
I didn't know what to do.
Right. And that's like me in math, that I was able to do well in math. But if you asked me what I was doing,
couldn't tell you.
Couldn't have possibly told you. I knew the equation.
And as soon as people asked me what I was doing, instant anxiety, tears. I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm. So like, I don't want my.
So by not having you be in tough, grappled kind of critical thinking spaces, you actually were only regurgitating.
Yeah. But when you look at my transcript, it appears like I'm this really successful, like over a 4.0 student, was in advanced classes, went to Northeastern, got a great education, blah, blah, blah. But like, I learned the skills that I use every day from the age of 22 to 36, not from the ages of 6 to 18.
Me too.
So I want my kids to start practicing the skills that are important that I learned at 22 earlier. Like I shouldn't have had to wait until I moved to New York City by myself and was like, holy fucking, what is this world? No one told me that this is what the world was actually like.
Yeah.
I thought it was Londonderry, New Hampshire. What the fuck, guys? Like that was like bubble popped. And then it was like, I'm never going back. And I don't want my kids to go back. And I don't want anyone that I can pull out of their bubble. I'm like, get out. Like that is not real. You're not in the real world. So join us. Join us in the real world.
So good. All right. So that is today's Learning Riot Jam session. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You are the best of the best, man. It's so good. And I'm so gifted that I get to be able to spend this time with you and grab coffee with you, but it does, you know, on the day-to-day right now that we're in different spaces, I don't get to work with you every day. So it's sad, but I love you and you've changed my practice.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I miss the passion that you bring. It's not common how many people come in every day, like so ready to fight. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, I feel like we have that in common where like our burnout is not a burnout in the career and the position. It's like a burnout in that day of like, oh, today got me. Today wasn't my day.
And you want to know when the day gets me most? Is when school and systems are fucking ridiculous. With the kids' challenges and this challenges and this challenges, I can usually navigate that. But if the thing that is resulting in people being dysregulated, unhappy, whatever it is a system claiming itself to be in the good of kids, which is not in the good of kids, then that's the thing that's going to really, that burns me.
But then you come back.
I do.
You let it go.
I come back. I am the child you talked about earlier. She wasn't actually talking about a child. She was talking about Mr. D on Tuesdays. All right. May I give you a hug?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. I appreciate you too. I appreciate you too. It is. And it's kind of cool to just like, we're kind of grown up.
I know.